What's up, Star Wars fans? Today I want to talk about Loth Wolf Dume and the mystery that surrounds this giant wolf that Ezra Bridger saw in a Force vision in Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels. But hey, before we get to that mystery, if you love Star Wars and speculation, then hit that subscribe button and come back again soon for more. That said, in Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels, Episode 11, simply titled Dume, the Ghost Crew is sadly dealing with the death of Kanan Jarrus. And this is when we see a very sad Ezra Bridger go into the plains of Lothal and try and deal with his master's death. It is here that Ezra is confronted by the Loth Wolves, and this time, for the first time, they're angry with Ezra. They chase him through the plains of Lothal and use their huge bodies to push him around, eventually knocking him unconscious, at which time Ezra has a Force vision. And that Force vision includes an absolutely massive wolf, at least 3 times the size of the other Loth wolves. But of course the big mystery here is, where does this giant wolf come from, and is it representing Ezra's former master Kanan Jarrus? And while creator Dave Filoni definitely drops some big hints for us, the first of which is when the huge wolf nudges Ezra Bridger to wake up. Initially, Ezra startles and says Kanan's name, as if he could sense Kanan's presence. Of course, what he sees is not his former master, but a gigantic wolf. That said, probably the biggest hint that this is indeed a representation of Kanan Jarrus is the fact that the wolf has a symbol on his forehead that is the exact same as the symbol on Kanan's shoulder pad. And then finally, when Ezra asks the gigantic wolf who he is, the wolf introduces himself as Dume. And for those who don't know, Kanan Jarrus was originally known as Caleb Dume. He changed his name after he survived Order 66. And as you can see with closed captioning on, the wolf doesn't say Dume D-O-O-M, he says D-U-M-E, Kanan's former last name. So with all these hints, I think it is certain that Dume the gigantic wolf is the continuation of Kanan Jarrus' will, and he has an important message for Ezra Bridger as well as a mission. Now, the important message or advice for the young Ezra Bridger is that he is in a state of fear. That's why all the wolves have been growling at Ezra. They can sense his fear after the death of his master Kanan Jarrus. And the gigantic Loth wolves' advice to Ezra to overcome this fear is to fight together, which of course contributes to a very strong Star Wars theme, the fact that Ezra should be with his family, continuing to fight the Empire and saving Lothal. So the wolf Dume, the manifestation of Kanan Jarrus, or Caleb Dume, is telling Ezra to get everybody back together and continue that fight that he sacrificed himself for. And that all makes a lot of sense for Kanan Jarrus to communicate to Ezra. But what doesn't make a whole lot of sense and creates a whole lot of mystery around this gigantic wolf is the mission that he's sending Ezra on. You see, Dave Filoni has confirmed that the giant wolf Dume was sending Ezra on a mission to the Jedi Temple to hopefully save Ahsoka Tano. He stated in an interview with Heroic Hollywood that Kanan made a big mistake on Malachor. He knew Darth Maul was going to betray them and that he wasn't trustworthy. But instead of trusting his gut, he ends up blinded, and as far as we know, Ahsoka was supposed to die there on Malachor. But this is where the massive mystery comes in. If this gigantic wolf is the manifestation of Kanan Jarrus, then how does Kanan know about the secrets of the Jedi Temple? How does he know about the world between worlds, and the fact that Ezra Bridger might actually be able to find a way to save Ahsoka Tano? And while to my knowledge there has been no concrete answer to this question, but I think there have been some big hints dropped in Star Wars Rebels Season 4, and Freddie Prinze Jr., the voice actor of Kanan Jarrus, has also dropped some big hints as well. So looking back at Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels, one of the things that Kanan says before his death is that the mission has always been with Lothal and that he's always been drawn to that planet. So I believe this is a big hint that Kanan is actually a native of Lothal and was taken away from his home planet by the Jedi Order many years ago. And there's certainly more support for this. Later in the season, during the episode Kindred, the Loth Wolves save Kanan and the rest of the Rebel crew by transporting them from one location on Lothal to another, and that second location involves caves, which have some very interesting drawings, which most likely likely have to do with the Jedi Order. You can see in this image a depiction of Yoda at the bottom. Remember, Yoda is a very rare species and is very old, and so could have came to Lothal many years ago and been part of the establishment of the Jedi Temple there. There are also 2 other Jedi with Yoda, and you can see that all 3 of these beings have what looks like a lightsaber handle on their belt. And in the middle of these 3 Jedi, highlighted is a smaller version of these individuals, no doubt a child that the Jedi are taking to train, a young person that is clearly Force sensitive, and that is going to be taken to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant for training. Now, I'll admit that all of this is a bit of a stretch just looking at this drawing, but it is 100% supported by what we know is going on during the High Republic, because during that era, we know that the Jedi were striking out into the Outer Rim and discovering new planets and trying to bring hope and understanding to the natives of those planets. We also know that during this time period, they built many Jedi temples on a variety of these different planets that were strong with the Force. And so it makes a lot of sense that Caleb Dume, a young Kanan Jarrus, was one of generation after generation of Jedi that came from the planet Lothal to train with the Jedi on Coruscant. Now that all said, this has been somewhat supported by Freddie Prinze Jr., the voice actor of Kanan Jarrus, when he stated the following on the Forcecast podcast. If you wanted to know more about Kanan's history or origin, go back a few episodes and look into the cave and look at the hieroglyphs. And just know those hieroglyphs aren't as old as you might think. And certainly when I first looked at those hieroglyphs, I thought they were probably thousands of years old. But the High Republic era took place about 300 to 100 years before the Battle of Yavin, which is at the point where we see Luke Skywalker destroying the Death Star. So I believe Freddie is telling us that these hieroglyphs are only a couple hundred years old and are from the High Republic era. But in that interview, Freddie also drops some major knowledge about whether or not we'll be seeing Kanan Jarrus again as this gigantic wolf. The spirit of Kanan at one point is the wolf in the sense that the Force is driving that moment because it's what's necessary, but when that moment is no longer necessary, that spirit is then free and that wolf is free. There is a time when Dume and the wolf are sort of one, but it's not the new form that Kanan is gonna take. Kanan is most certainly gone. And so it would seem that Kanan Jarrus knew about the Jedi Temple and its secrets like the world between worlds because of his connection to the Loth Wolves and of course the greater connection to the Cosmic Force. So although it is the will of Kanan Jarrus to send Ezra Bridger into the Jedi Temple and find the world between worlds where he can save Ahsoka Tano, ultimately he is only able to do that because he has transcended to the Cosmic Force. And as Freddie mentioned, unfortunately, he is now gone. But hey, Star Wars fan, what do you think about this Star Wars lore and speculation? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, I'm Mike, and the Force will be with you always.